Hi there, so my name's Dan. I'm one of the music teachers here at BCA, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own beat presets on a free piece of software, and then later on you'll be able to transfer these into Logic Pro when you come to study. So today I'll be using just a normal computer, so it's Windows or Mac, along with a phone, which will be Android or iPhone as well. So you can see my screen. So at the minute I'm on www.bandlab.com. And pretty simple. If you've got a Google account, you can sign up there. If you don't, then you can just sign up with a normal email address as well. My advice would be to also sign up on your phone, so download the app as well. So this is the first thing you'll see. So I just set this up yesterday. I'm going to hit create up at the top here. That loads up to a new track. And for those of you who are familiar with DAWs, you will know that you can either record things in using a microphone or your phone microphone, plug in guitars, plug in basses, use drum machines and live and Midi instruments as well. Today we're going to work with the Midi instruments. There is a drum machine here, but we're going to use the Midi drum instrument here, mainly because this is the one that will transfer best to Logic Pro when you arrive. So I've clicked on that. I'm going down the bottom. As you can see at the minute, if I have my keyboard down on my hands, I can use my keys here. I can also click on it with the mouse to play an instrument. I'm going to move to the drum pads. So at the minute, I've got a kick drum here, which is S on my keyboard. I've got a snare drum, F on the keyboard. I've also got a hi-hat here. Let's use this one. There we go, that's better. So I got those three. They're the three main parts of a drum beat. And what I would advise most producers to have is just a massive collection of random beats that you've made. So that'll be just different drum patterns, different rhythms, different ideas, all just in there, ready to go. So if you're working in the studio with someone, and if the beat's not working, you've got loads just to drag in and change it up. So how do we start making them? So you can either record in an idea, so you can play it along on the keyboard, or you can draw it in. You can see I'm hovering over enable microphone here, or enable metronome here. I want to make sure this is on, because without that, we won't know what tempo it is. We won't be able to link up our drum beat to the bars of the music. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to just see what my speed is. Might make it a bit slower, so let's go down to 100. So this will be the speed of our track. So let's have a listen. Yep, so that's going to be my speed. And now I just have to work out just the odd little drum beat. So I've got my kick drum, I've got my snare, or my snare, yeah, snare here, and I've got my hi-hat here. So even if you don't have a MIDI keyboard at home, you still have a way of playing stuff in. So if I kind of try and experiment a bit. So I can just use that. It takes a bit of practice. If you're struggling, you can just record in, and then. So if I do something like that, I need to record it in. So what I'm going to do, go back to my DAW, back to my screen, and make sure it starts at the very start of the track, and I'm going to hit record. It should give me a 1, 2, 3, 4 to count in. Then I'm going to play 4 bars of music. So let's see how that goes. I played 2 bars that time, so that is just 2 bars of a loop. What if you were able to notice, I played massively out of tempo at the start. So how do I fix that? You could spend forever trying to record the perfect take, or you could use something called Quantize. So I've just double clicked on the track, and now you can see down here I've got all my different drum beats that I put in. Let's make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to click one, do Control or Command, depending if you're on Windows or Mac. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to do Command and A. That selects all of the individual drum parts I put in. Actually, let's hear what it sounds like without the quantization. So you can hear that's pretty badly out of time. I'm going to change my quantization to an 8th note. So that's kind of in line with the hi-hats I put in. I'm just going to hit the quantize button. And you see how everything's moved? That should then, in theory, depending if I've played it completely out, make it sync in with the beat. There we go. That says pretty much in time. So now, say you don't like the sounds that are in this free DAW, and you come to college and you're like, Logic Pro, it's much better. It's got a lot more sounds, and a lot more things to do. So how do you kind of take all the drum beats that you've made and actually put them into something that's useful for next year? So what we're going to do, on this little 3 dots thing here, we're going to do it as export track as Midi. If you export the track as a WAV, that means it's almost like an MP3. You'll be able to listen back to it on your phone as a sound file. However, we want the Midi track because that is what will plug into Logic, and you'll be able to use new kick drums, new snares, new hi-hats. You'll be able to change as much as you want. So what we're going to do is export track as a Midi track. So that should work, and you can see it down here. It'll be depending on what your computer does, but that is where it'll be in your downloads folder anyway. So I'm going to go to Logic, go to Empty Project. So I'm just going to make a new one as you would when you're setting up. And here's my new Logic one here. I'm going to just go default patch, which is what it's always set to, and hit create. And that was a software instrument I made. On Logic, you can have your drum kits, and say I want a new drum kit than the one I had. Let's say R&B drum kit. Then we should be able to go to my downloads. Then here is the MIDI file I just downloaded. Drag, drop it in. Import tempo information. Do you want your project the same speed as the one you played in before? I'm going to say yes. And here we go. It's made a new instrument. I'm just going to drag that up into the drum part here and just push delete to get rid of that one. And in theory, that should sound the same. There we go. So it's the same drum beat, but it's completely different sounds. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how to use your phone with BandLab. Okay, so you should be able to see my phone. So what I've got here is just the opening tab of BandLab. So I've signed up using the same email address, and this is just the opening screen that you get. So again, I just set this account up, so it should just be the same for you when you do it too. You see this plus button down the bottom. So that'll be, you've got a couple of options. You can kind of go through different kind of presets or things that they've set up for you. I will probably, let's pick something like a piano. So, here we go. Scroll across, I'll go to keyboards. And you've actually got quite a good option, a good amount, but I'm going to go grand piano, just to make it really simple. And you've got, I turn my sound up, you got a piano to play with. So I'm going to turn up, so I want to maybe experiment with some chords, but it's far too low. So there's an octave button up here. Going to turn it up maybe 2 octaves. So I've got higher pitched. So if say you're on the bus or you're on the train or you're just sat at home with some headphones on, you can experiment with some chords. You can also tap a drum beat onto your phone as well. So you got loads of choice to pick from. So say I've kind of thought, okay, I have some chords up to maybe to there, then there. You thought, okay, that's a really good start of a sound, maybe a couple of basic pop chords. So I want to record that in. So what I'll do, hit record and record that in. stop. What I've done is just had some example chords. If you wanted to put it with a tempo, you can also hit the metronome button as well, which is down on the bottom right hand side. But I just wanted to put those chords in just as an idea and see what happens. What I should be able to do then, if I hit the top left button, I'm going to save the changes, I'll hit save, and that should be saved on the same account. So I've had my phone up here, and I've hit the save button. What I'm going to do then is back to my screen. I can see the exit button. So this is my past drum kit that we were looking at. I'm going to go to exit, hit save if you want to, and it should then go back to the main screen. What we've got are two projects. So one which we've just saved, and then the other which I played on my phone. So let's go to the phone one. I probably should have named it. So yeah, that's a bit of advice. But here we are. It's loading up, and if I hit play, the exact same thing I played is now on the computer. So I can do the same thing as before, 3 dots, export track as Midi. Again, if you want to listen back to it on your phone at a later point, just as a media file, as an MP3, then export track as WAV. But what we're doing is transferring this to Logic. So I'm going to export track as Midi. You can see it's in my downloads again. Drop it into Logic. Go to my downloads. Throw that in there. I don't want to import the tempo this time because I recorded it without a click. And here we go. Now the problem is that this tempo is massively different to the drum kit. So if I push E on my keyboard or double click on the track, we can then start working out where to drop these in. Same thing, Command A, select them all, and then we're going to quantize it. Push Q on the keyboard or Q there. Line them up. And what we'll do is maybe do that, then drag that there, then to the start of that bar, then so this will probably sound, I don't know, completely not what I intended, but let's have a listen. So we've got our drum beat and our piano. Obviously with a lot more work, that would be something you need to work on. Let's maybe pull that to there. Let's put it in time anyway. So there we go. So that is essentially something we can do in our own homes, on the bus, on your phone, on your family computer, on your own laptop, whatever way you want to do. This is a way to kind of put stuff in Midi, and whatever you make during the summer, during lockdown, you'll be able to save it as your own Midi files and drop it into Logic, and there you go. You don't need to kind of build all your projects from scratch again. Hopefully that makes sense, and yeah, look forward to seeing you in September.